Easy now.
Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. I'ma have to cut you out, like right now. You see, I don't want to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Try the marijuana. I was loving you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feel the change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to a Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast powered by The Athletic. Shout out to the company. My name is Michael Sean Dugar. I'm here with my co-host, Christopher Kidd. Make sure you follow us both up on the tweet machine. I'm still verified for now. I just read that news from Elon Musk. MikeDugar. Follow me on the tweet machine. Shout out to our followers on YouTube. Seahawks Man-to-Man on YouTube. Appreciate the love. Chris, talk to him.
Yeah, what is up, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKid206. I am actually happy to not be verified, because if they're charging dub per month just to have a blue check, I'm cool off that. It's not that serious. It's cool. I'll take it.
$20 a month to be verified, dude. Yeah, Elon can kiss my ass, man. But anyway, let's jump into the game. And Seahawks won 27-13. They beat the Giants in week 8. Third straight victory. Third straight victory by double digits, which I think is very important because that's one reason why the Seahawks were favored in this game. The Giants were not. The Giants were banged up. Like the best tight end has like a broken eye or something. But the Giants have been winning a bunch of one-score games, whereas the Seahawks have now won, 3 in a row by double digits.
10 or more, yeah.
Yeah, they've been pretty convincing in their last 2 victories, and they were convincing today. I told one of my homies yesterday, I was like, man, bro, if you can get there, go to the casino and put some money on the Seahawks, because I'm very confident they're going to win. I told them that last night. These guys, I did not bet on them, by the way. But I did pick them to win.
We all did. And you did it in the Athletic story too. Actually, yes, she didn't.
I finally picked it right. Our guest did not. Our shout out to Charlotte, rolled with the Giants. But now I was very confident. I thought they were going to run the ball on these guys a little better, but it doesn't really matter. I just thought they would get it done. And the injuries to the Giants played a part. But, I mean, throwing to Wendell Robinson or whatever the hell, that's not a recipe for winning. But, Chris, I think today, beating the Giants the way they did today, a team that I do think is like halfway decent, the Giants, the Seahawks they're the real deal, man. They're legit. I don't know if that means like, Seahawks can win the Super Bowl now or something, but I just think that they're a legitimately good team. And I think it was someone in the questions last week asked if the Seahawks are good. And I was like, nah. I think I said no. Pretty sure. Did I say no last week?
No. You didn't say no. You just you said, I want to see how they play against the Giants. Like, that was your barometer. How do they play against the Giants after a huge win over the Chargers? Consistency. Because I asked on Twitter, I said, maybe this team is good. Something to that magnitude. And then that's where you kind of brought up, okay, well, I want to see if they can do it again. If they beat the Giants, I'll have something for you. What do you say, Mike?
Well, I think the other thing now I remember now, I wanted their point differential was still negative, which now it's got to be positive now because it was on the brink. What is it now? Yeah, they're plus 11, which means they're outscoring their opponents by 11. The Giants are outscoring their opponents by 6. So the Giants are a decent team as well, which is the Seahawks have the 12th best point differential in the league, which is so weird. They're still behind the Jaguars. The Jaguars are still plus 14, and they're 2-6. Unbelievable. The Jaguars just beat the shit out of 2 teams and then just got smoked 6 times or just lost 6 times. Very weird. But that's not just winning the game is not why I think the Giants are the real deal. Because, again, they are really banged up. They were missing offensive linemen. Their receivers all stink. But the mark of a good team, I think, and I wrote a little bit about this on Sunday in my story, is that when the opposition has something that you need to have an answer for, and you have a solution consistently week to week on both sides of the ball, that is the mark of a good team, I think. Whether it's, shutting down The Cardinals run the type of runs the Cardinals like to get to, or their downfield passing game on the part of the Cardinals, or I think that's on the offensive side. The Cardinals also had a really aggressive defense. Now that was really tricky because they were really bad on third down in that game against the Cardinals. But I thought that was the defense just had a lot of good answers, which is why then I went to see it again. All right, Justin Herbert's got some throws he likes to make, and if you leave any window up the seams, Jay Herbo will smoke you. You know what I'm saying? He would kill you. And they had answers for that. You know, you didn't see Justin Herbert hitting the throws he liked. He didn't hit really much outside the numbers like that. He couldn't throw the ball down the field at all because they took away what he liked. They had an answer for what he presented. And they even had an answer for him getting the ball out quick. They were batting down passes left and right, you know, against the Chargers. And then, you know, defensively, they had, you know, offensively against the Chargers, they easily knew what they were. It's like, all right, y'all gonna come for Geno? All right, here we go. We can fix that. Oh, your corner likes to do this? Oh, okay, watch this. Touchdown, Marquise Goodwin. And they did that, you know, without DK for a lot of the game. So, and then today was a lot of the same thing. It was like, all right, they're going to try to get Saquon the ball, and they're going to try to run with Daniel Jones. Them two cats combined for 83 rushing yards on 26 carries. That's nothing. That's nothing. And that's like having the answers for whatever the other team presents, like, seems so simple. But look at when the Seahawks have lost games, they didn't do that. You know, like take the Saints game, for example. The Saints ain't got but 3 good players on offense: Taysom Hill, Andy Dalton. Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara. Who else?
And Olave.
And Chris Olave. That's it. Alvin Kamara had 100 yards. Taysom Hill had 1,000. And
Chris got hurt, scored a touchdown.
And Chris Olave, got concussed and still scored a touchdown. And then you look at the Lions game. The Lions are really banged up. They ain't have but 2 good players, Jamal Williams and TJ Hawkinson. And them dudes went nuts. You know, same thing with the Falcons. They ain't got but a few good players. Now, they did a good job on Kyle Pitts. But they got Drake London. They got Cordell Patterson. Them dudes went nuts, particularly Cordell Patterson. Now, each week, and defensively, they've had some guys to deal with too, but like each week, they just have something. They have an answer for whether it's a certain concept, a certain player, a certain style of run, just whatever it is, they've had an answer. And when you do that week to week to week, it just gives me confidence that you can continue to do that because it's not fluky. I kind of thought it was fluky for the last couple weeks. Particularly because the offenses were just so one-dimensional that they were playing already. Like the Chargers don't run it, and the Cardinals don't really run it that well either. But these guys do run it. Now, granted, these guys don't throw it that well, but like they just had answers. And every team's going to present a different challenge. Like they play the Cardinals next week, whatever. We already know what they're going to bring. Stop D-Hop, you win the game. You know, pretty much. The Patriots, who they play in Germany?
Bucks.
The Bucks. Play the Bucks, not the Patriots. I was thinking of Tom Brady. You know what they're going to do. Quick passing game, downfield shots to Mike Evans, like, you know, dink and dunk to Leonard Fournette. They don't run the ball. You stop, you know, Tom gets it out quick so, you know, he doesn't die at age 57. You know, like they have their ways, and it just each team presents that is the short version. So I think that just having those answers, whether teams are blitzing or teams are doubling Tyler and DK, teams are, loading up the box, whatever. Every team's going to have a coach or a player or whatever. It's going to be like, you need to have an answer for this cat or this scheme or whatever. Chris, what number did I tell you before the game or before we was recording? Wink Martindale, the Giants DC blitzed. I put it in my story. Was it 53% of the time today?
That's nasty work.
That is disgusting. And they had answers. They always have answers because every play is not going to be perfect. But like they had the right answers more often than not. And I just think that's just so impressive, man, to just consistently. It's what Bill Belichick is really good at, is okay, you do a thing really well. Watch us shut that shit down. Whatever it is. One of the best recent example he's probably had. I think we talked about it on one of the pods. What the Browns have been running all over people. Belichick shut down Chubb and Hunt. The Lions had ran all over everybody. They literally did not score against the Patriots. But even on a grander scale in previous years, You remember how good that 2018 Rams offense was with Goff and Todd Gurley, and who else did they have? Robert Woods. Did they have Brandon Cooks too?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon. They was killing
Cooper
it. Sean
Kupp.
McVay. Yeah. Well, Cup had got hurt actually, so I don't think Cup played in the Super Bowl. I think he got hurt in Seattle actually. But the point I bring up with that game is like Belichick had 2 weeks to be like, oh, okay, little play action, little outside zone, fly sweeps. Okay, bet. What they scored in the Super Bowl? 3 points. Like that's a good team. You know, it starts with the coaching and the game plans, and then it goes into the execution of it and the third downs. I think we talked about last week. Turnovers is great. They're fantastic. The defenders get to pose in the end zone. It's cool. I love it. Oh man, yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, you see all types of cool shit. You know, they've done these poses. I love it. I love this little trend where everybody throwing up gang signs and stuff. You know, Joey Blunt just joined 4PF. Shout out to 4PF Joey.
We smoking them, baby.
Yeah, like they do all types of stuff. That turnovers is great. When you can get a team to punt consistently, that is when you're real to me. And you told me the number before, Chris. How many? I didn't write it down. How many times did the Giants punt?
6 punts today, or Sunday, excuse me. 6 punts, man. Got off the field.
And a turnover on downs in the fourth quarter as well. Like that is impressive to me because the Seahawks now have like a top 7, top 8 third down defense. I think I'd have to look that up again. But the point is they can get off the field without forcing turnovers. That's impressive. Punts get it done. I think that's like the most in terms of the defense. Their ability to force punts, limit teams to 3. Chris, if Tyler Lockett doesn't fumble at the 2,
it's an ass whooping.
It's a beat down today.
Even
2 things. If Tyler Lockett has the usual reliable hands that he has, just doesn't fumble and catches that touchdown, this might be this would have been an ass whooping, man. I don't know what this means in terms of like long term, but just right now, I think we can all confidently agree there's nothing fluky about what the 2022 Seahawks are doing. These cats are the real deal, man, on both sides of the ball. Pete didn't even have no dumb challenge today.
Thank goodness. I was worried, man. When they I forget what play it was, but it was a debatable first down. I was like, yeah, Pete might just say, the hell with it. What do I have to lose? I might I was nervous, not gonna lie. There was a couple of times I'm thinking, yeah, Pete might throw the red flag just because he don't care. Peter said it. Yeah, it's a red flag. If I get it wrong, oh well, I lose a timeout. And it's as if Pete has forgotten over the years. With Russell, he struggled with the timeout issue. It's with Geno now. He's not even worried about timeouts. That's how confident he is in his quarterback, the offense, and the defense, that he's just like, I'm going to throw a red flag. If I get it, cool. If not, we're moving on.
Yeah, he don't even need to be seeing the replay all the time. He's just like, yeah, you know what? I don't think he caught it. Oh, you know what? I thought he was going to do it on Tyler's fumble. I thought that's when he was going to throw it on that.
Man, was that the play I was thinking? I feel like there was another play.
Well, because they at first ruled Tyler's fumble an interception.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Which is at least what they announced to us. I don't know what they were saying on TV, but it was like, interception, Giants ball. And I remember like, there's no way in hell that was a pick. Like, let me see the replay. And I was like, oh, Tyler's butt is down. Or his butt doesn't hit the ground before the ball comes out. So it's a fumble. It's legit. But I was like, watch Pete just throw this. And he didn't. Like, once Pete went for it on 4th down when he was supposed to and didn't throw a crazy challenge flag, yeah, Seahawks are for real.
Solid day.
See, that's legitimate, man. Like, we can get into some of the details with the questions. I know we got a lot of Twitter questions, so I want to give those questions the time they deserve. But yeah, that's because we one of my homies he texted me today. Shout out to the homie Adam in London. He said, I'll see you in Glendale for the Super Bowl, implying the Seahawks are going to be there. I won't go that far, but my homie who covers the Eagles, he was like, yeah, man, I'll see you in Philly for the NFC title game. I'm like, yeah, bet.
That's a possibility.
I see you there, man. There ain't no NFC team that scares me right now other than Philly, because Philly is nasty as well. So Yeah, man, these guys are the real deal, and I'm surprised. I'm sure you are too. I don't think we thought this team would be 5-3 through 8. That's tough.
I think when we realized Russ is gone, Gino's probably gonna be the starter. I thought maybe Drew. I had them at 8 wins, 8 and 9, and you were like, you see 8 wins on this roster on this schedule, Chris? Yeah, and you were like, let's go through it. We went through it, and you were like, see, I told you, and I was at like maybe 6, scratching my head. I probably should have stayed with it. I don't think I changed it. I just didn't have an answer for you per se. I couldn't say this is a for sure win. But now I look at it and I'm thinking this team could potentially win 11 games because the defense is playing lights out. You look at Saquon Barkley. You know what the Giants want to do. They want to run the ball. They want to be physical. And there are times where you're thinking, oh, my goodness, Saquon could break out of this and get loose. That didn't happen. It did not happen. Someone made a play every time when there was he can maybe make a play here, whether it be Quandre Diggs, whether it be Jordan Brooks. Guys stepped up and they were filling their gaps, their roles. They got the job done. And then offensively, I thought they played okay. I thought they did a really good job. And when Ty dropped that pass, I'm thinking there's no way he's not getting another deep ball again. And what did they do? They run a double move on Adoree Jackson. And it was an easy touchdown. Beautiful pass, beautiful concept. I liked what they did there because there's no way they weren't going to go back to him, right? There's just
of course, it's Tyler Lockett, man.
That's what I'm thinking. So when he dropped it, I was like, I get it. Hit the face mask. He was late hands, which is a smart move to do when you're a wide receiver. You don't want to get that DB a chance to get his hands in there. Late hands, and the ball just hit him in the face mask. An error, it happens. It is what it is. Move on from it. They go back to him. It's a touchdown. I just like the composure of the team and how they played as a unit. They never got down on one another. They uplifting everybody. Even when, hell, the Seahawks didn't have a great offensive day. They punted 6 times. Third down was atrocious. If I'm not mistaken, they went 3 of 13 on Sunday. Wasn't great.
On offense, let me see. I can pull it up for you. I also have a fun Saquon stat for you at one point. Yeah, 3 of 13 is bad. Ooh, I didn't realize it was that yucky.
It was. But the defense, when the defense is playing really well, kind of forget about everything else because you know what? The Seahawks aren't giving up points. They're still punting it and changing field position, getting field position, all that. But overall, I thought the defense has been consistent for the past 3 weeks. They come in, they've done what they needed to do. They shut down Kyler Murray, shut down the Chargers, and then you saw what they did against the Giants. If Tyler Lockett doesn't fumble the football, we are having a completely different discussion. It is a 30. My math says 34, 35, whatever, 33, 34 points to 3 or 6. That's what we're talking about right now. And we're having this discussion about, okay, this team might have a chance to compete for a division championship against the Eagles. That's how for real they are. And then next week, they got the Cardinals again. That's going to be a nice challenge with D-Hop coming, with the Seahawks going down and facing D-Hop, who is back from a suspension. And as you mentioned, all they do is shut down D-Hop, and who knows what could happen. So this team right now is feeling the confidence. They believe they can do it. And it all starts with their head coach. In the offseason, what was he telling us? This team can do it. And we're all like, all right, Pete, sure, we'll listen to you, but have you not been watching training camp? They can't throw against the air. Guys are missing dudes wide open. The defense is winning all the training camp battles. How are you confident in this offense moving forward? And you've seen improvement on the offense. The defense took a long time to get going, but now they're at a pace where they are hitting on all cylinders. And a play that highlights that, I think, is Cody Barton, a guy that doesn't have the same snap counts because they're putting their best players out there. But in certain situations, Cody is going to see the field. It was 4th and long. The Giants obviously need it. They're down 2 possessions. They need to get this touchdown. They have to score. And Cody is just in the right place at the right time. He understands where he needs to be. He jumps up to make an interception. Unfortunately, he's a linebacker, so his hands aren't quite there yet. But what I want to touch on is the fact that he is now understanding where he needs to be. If this was week 1, week 2, week 3, Mike, you had a stat. I think it was week 4 after who they play week 4. It was Detroit. So after Detroit, you had a stat in there that said when quarterbacks are targeting Cody Barton, they're 12 for 12 for 100-plus yards, whatever the case may be. That now has changed. You now target Cody, he's going to be in the right spot, and he's going to make a play. And we saw that on Sunday. And those are just the little things. That's just one example of a player that The team didn't give up on him. It's not like he was benched. He's just not getting the same reps. Other guys are coming in and they're using different packages. We talked about the penny package now that I think we saw a couple of times on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. We saw that.
They used the penny package a lot, yeah.
So with that being said, you're starting to see this team figure out where they can put pieces and how they can use these guys and maximize their ability on the field. And that's all it takes. Of course, I didn't expect it to be as rough as it was the start of the season, but I also figured it wouldn't be easy because it's a whole new scheme. You lose KJ, you lose Bobby, you lose a bunch of guys, and you're implementing this 3-4 defense. You're trying to run cover 3 still. The corners, you're not too sure about, but now everybody's on the same page, and you're starting to see it week in and week out.
Yeah, where's my Saquon stat? I almost forgot it. Saquon Barkley. Dang it, I'm losing it. I think
was it yards per contact? Was it that?
No, it's not that one. Hold on, let me make sure I got this right. I'm pretty sure I wrote it in my story. Let me make sure I find it. Saquon Barkley either ran for no yards or negative yards on 30% of his attempts today. That I think on average he was at like 16%. So almost twice as often as usual, he was getting either stuffed at the line or stuffed for like negative yardage. I think that's pretty crazy. As a stat like that, if you ran like, say, if you got stuffed as often as Saquon did today, you'd be the worst like back in the league. Pretty much, you'd be one of the worst. And he's one of the best. Like they really shut him down. I want to make sure I have this right. Because they, as a team, they ran for negative yards or 0 yards 21% of the time, which is also pretty.
That's crazy. A third of the time you don't go anywhere, you lose yards. Come on, man.
Hold on. Now I gotta really find it. Make sure I got this right. I don't want to give people false information on the timeline here. Why can I not? Oh, that's why I can't find it. I got it filtered to dudes who have like 50 carries. I was like, because I was like, man, why can I not find this? Let's see. I think that's the stat though. Let's just run with that because I don't want to spend too much time on it. Pretty much, they shut Saquon down. And he's a very hard dude like to shut down. Like Saquon, Pete called him the best back. I don't think he's the best back, but
he's top 5. There you go.
Yeah, he's probably. Ooh, that's actually kind of tough.
Top 10, damn.
Top 5 is fine. Top 5 is fine.
Top 7, just to make it all even.
Yeah, he's probably like a top. Yeah, top 7 is fine. Yeah, Saquon. Oh man, he got shut down. Now he's up to 18% just off of. Oof, boy. Yeah, he got shut down today, man. Yeah, that was really impressive. Anyway, that's my stat. They got in the backfield a lot is the version of the stat. Like they nearly a third of the time that he was running the ball, he was going nowhere. His 15 yards, I think.
We saw Bruce Irvin no one touched Bruce Irvin, by the way. He blows up Daniel Jones, knocks Daniel Jones into Saquon for -8. You saw a couple of those plays where they just lost a lot of yards because no one had blocked said player.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite plays. My favorite play is the Shelby Harris chasing down Daniel Jones. I just thought that was
effort.
Yeah, that was just effort. That was just a guy making a play. It happened in the fourth quarter, so Shelby was dog tired, man. Clint Hurt had just told us on Wednesday, he was like, man, Daniel doesn't get caught from behind very often. Like, whoever said he runs a 4.7 probably hit the button on the timer late because that dude can run. And what do you know? Shelby, who, by the way, ran a 4.7 at his pro day, although he told me he was like, man, I was 290 when I ran that. And that was like 7 years ago. So,
much bigger now, huh?
He's like, I'm 308 right now and older. So I ain't running 4.7. But like that was a really good play. You see it on the sidelines how they all just celebrated when that happened. And that was third down as well. Like that was just big time. Big time.
Big time plays, but we got some big time Twitter questions to get to. Mike, you ready?
I am.
All right. Let's kick things off with Holly at Hallberry03. The Hawks seem to have found their rhythm. Do you think the Seahawks could realistically be 7-3 at their bye week?
Yeah, I think that's very realistic. I think they'll be favored in both of the games coming up in between then, the Cardinals and the Bucks. I don't think it'll be favored by a ton. I'm curious to see how Vegas treats the neutral site game in another country with the line there. That'll be interesting because it's a Bucks home game, but it's not going to feel that way in Munich. But yeah, I think if the D line keeps playing the way that it's playing, I think that's a big part. They're just getting off the ball really well, get in the backfield. I think the two leading tacklers today were DBs. I want to say. Let's see who led the Seahawks in tackles today.
Yeah, Mike Jackson blowing up everything. He had 7 solo tackles today or Sunday. Excuse me. Goodness.
Yeah, and then Ryan Neal had 6. And then it was Uchenna. So yeah, like when your leading tacklers are like DBs, that's kind of crazy. That's probably not the best example.
That's not a good stat.
Yeah, they were getting off the ball just crazy today. Uchenna's a monster. He's really good. I think the way they're getting off the ball, man, it really does start up front. But they're just playing well on the back end too, man. It takes the offense making really good plays for the Seahawks to give up explosives in the passing game. Like some of those Darius Slayton catches today were like, oh, all right.
Tariq had one that should have been picked. That's how.
That one is weird. I don't know how Tariq did. He goes at it with 2 hands and like.
I think he wanted to bat it down. That's what I thought.
He's going at it like I don't know how it didn't hit the ground. It was just unbelievable play by Slayton. But it takes plays like that to get the explosives. You know, he had another one on Mike Jack. It was just like, yeah, that's just a good play by the offense. These guys are legit. Also, I don't think either of the two teams about to play are very good. Like we just talked about teams that are good. I think the Bucks are bad.
Crazy to say. This might be it.
Tom Brady is finally. Yeah, I think this. I never wanted to be somebody who was like, oh, let me say Tom Brady's bad, and then he is. Like, I never wanted to jump the gun on the Tom Brady thing, especially after Trent Dilfer in 2014. It was just like Tom Brady's not good anymore after they lost to the Chiefs on like Monday Night Football, and it might be one of the worst takes ever. Because boy, I think the Patriots end up winning the Super Bowl. After they win the Super Bowl.
Well, Mike, how about this? Brady has won 3 or 4 Super Bowls since then.
Yeah, that was just a terrible. I never. That is it right there. That told me like never just try to be in front of it on the Tom Brady thing. But I think we can all see it. That man is. He didn't lost his family. He's losing games. No, I'm just serious. That's part of it too, man. That's just he don't got it together right now in any parts of his life, really. Maybe other than just being a dad, but being a husband and being a quarterback, he's bad at them 2 things right now. So, I think. And then I don't play Call of Duty, but people keep telling me that it's got Kyler Murray's attention. The new one just dropped. So, did you see that quote? Somebody had a quote about it today.
Yes.
Was it David Rhodes, Patrick Peterson, one of them Vikings DBs? Do you know who it was? I can't remember now. Top of my head.
I could probably look it up. I thought you were talking about another quote where it was a meme basically, and when they brought in Robbie Anderson, someone quote tweeted and said, Kyler Murray asking Robbie, "Hey, what's your KD on COD, bro? Kill death ratio?" Because that's very important in Call of Duty. So I thought you were mentioning that, but this is a whole different.
No, somebody on the Vikings today said something like, they made a Kyler Murray Call of Duty joke. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a Vikings DB. The Vikings beat them today. Anyway, I don't think the Cardinals are very good. I don't think the Bucks are very good. I don't think who do they play after that? The Raiders.
Oh my gosh, Raiders are trash.
Ooh, tell me.
I'm sorry, Tashawn.
What am I? I think he'll get over it. But yeah,
he's not going to come on the pod now.
No, he will. But I don't think he's tripping over that. He's in New Orleans, man. He's living. One of my fantasy teams has Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and Daniel Carson, their kicker, and I got smoked by 100 today in that league. Yeah. Anyway, I don't think the teams they're playing are very good, so I think that's going to be part of it. So, yeah.
Okay. By the way, I found the quote. Peterson was asked about his post-game celebration. Peterson said, "I think it's called Call of Duty. I'm not too much of a gamer. Heard it just came out." And that was in response to his touchdown celebration, which looked like he was playing video games.
See, they out here trolling Kyler Murray. Yeah, no, I don't think the next 3 teams they play aren't very good. I don't know who they have after that, but
it's the Raiders. I got the schedule pulled up, so it'd be the Raiders, and then they have the Rams, Panthers, Niners, Chiefs, Jets.
And they got to have the Rams again in there somewhere.
Last game of the season, yeah.
Is the Rams? Okay. Yeah, so their schedule looks favorable in that regard, too, as long as they kind of stay relatively healthy. So, yeah, man, I think they're legit.
Best guess at Geno's next contract. Length and dollar signs, baby. How much? How much bread is he going to bring in?
I sit at home games. I kind of sit next to Brady Henderson of ESPN. I told Brady after the 5-play 75-yard drive that kind of put the ends with a Tyler Lockett touchdown. I told him, I was like, I told my editor this too. I was like, Geno's agent needs to get on the phone with his realtor because he's going to be able to move into a new zip code off the commission from Geno's contract, even if it's 3%. 3% of 100 million moves you into a new zip code, baby. it sure does. I think that at least I think it's 3% of money earned. So, but anyway, whatever. My point is, I think with the non-exclusive franchise tag being at about 31 million for 2023, it's a 1-year deal at 31 million. When you're talking extensions or long-term deals, it wouldn't be an extension, just be a new deal. If you're talking about a long-term deal, you have to start there on the average per year, I think. So you can't offer Geno nothing less than 32 because like he'll just say no and just say, hey, tag me. I'm 32. I'm not old by quarterback years. I ain't played, so I ain't taking a bunch of hits. So yeah, I'm 32. Tag me, and if and then I'll play my cards out. So I think you got to start there, but you can't go much higher than that because it's just 1 year of really good production. So I would probably guess, and it just depends on how many years Geno wants to sign for, how much security he wants. But you're probably not going to get a 4-year deal at that point because the sample size is too small. Ryan Tannehill got a 4-year deal after that big 2019 season he had. But then again, that was Ryan's 3rd contract. So he had already got paid. He was a first-round pick. He didn't play that bad with the Dolphins. So I think you probably look at 3 years for Geno, maybe 2 if he wants to try to hit free agency again at age like 34, I think is what he would be, which makes sense for him. So I would say probably 3 years and 95. That'll be my guess if he keeps playing like this. If there's a big drop-off, then obviously no, you don't pay him. But somebody is going to do that. I think teams are going to be very desperate for someone of Geno's services. Teams that aren't going to be, they're going to be bad, but not necessarily bad enough to pick high to get their guy. They're going to be a team that convince themselves that they're a quarterback away. We always see those type of teams. Pittsburgh could feel that way. Who else could feel that way? The Commanders could feel that way. The Colts could feel that way. These are teams that are bad, but they're not going to have like a top 5 pick, probably. Shoot, didn't the Commanders win today?
Yeah.
Commander's going to mess around and be like 7-10 or something dumb that doesn't get them in the top 5. So those teams, I think, hell, the Giants could need a quarterback. The Giants might come back, Geno. What's up? You better than that Daniel Jones? Yeah, he clearly is. If Tom Brady walks away, the Bucs need a quarterback. Honestly, every team in the NFC South needs a quarterback. All 4. For real, the Saints need a quarterback. The Bucs need a quarterback. Will need a quarterback if
actually Atlanta's okay. I think.
No,
I mean they can still.
Marcus Mariota is not good. You think Marcus Mariota good?
I mean, he ain't playing. He ain't bad.
Nah, he's bad, man.
He can hold his. He's holding his own. But if you want to bring in someone, I get it.
You have to bring in. He's not the answer. Let's put it that way. He's fine, but he's not like the long-term solution, dude. I know he had a big day today, but he's not it. And then Carolina obviously needs a quarterback. That's the whole division right there that needs a quarterback. So, yeah, I think, and I still think the Lions need a quarterback as well. Yeah. And so there's a lot of teams that could use a Geno Smith type of player. The Lions have a pretty decent roster. Their coaching staff just looks like it sucks. So, yeah, I think 395 would probably be my guess. You can go 2-64 or something, 2-66 or something like that, 2-65. Something around that range, because the tag has to be the baseline. If I'm negotiating for Geno, if you want my help, call me. If I was negotiating for him, the tag is the bottom. We got to start there. If he keeps playing well, like if he makes the Pro Bowl and stuff, which he probably should, there's no reason for him to be like, oh yeah, hometown discount. Give me 2 years, $40 million. That would be dumb on his part. He's players who perform at his level, at his age, at his position are just worth more than that. Like, so if he was to get paid what he's worth, I know Spot Track does like a Spo Track. I don't know how you say it actually. Now I think about it, they do like a contract estimation valuation thing on their site. I don't know what number they have. If Geno keeps playing like this, that's going to have to start. The average player is going to have to start with a 3. Let's put it that way. It's going to have to. That he's playing that with, and he's 32. 32 is not old in terms of extending a quarterback.
And that one was from @FixCards. This next one is from @Seahawks77389. If Geno is this good the rest of the season, do the Seahawks not use a first rounder on a quarterback, or should we draft one, let him sit? It's going to be hard to bench Geno if he's this consistent. I'll admit, I wasn't a fan before game 1. Now I'm starting to be a believer.
Yeah, this is a good question, and one that I'm kind of paying attention to as the season unfolds, because, yeah, it's basically, is Geno good enough? That's the thing. That's the way to frame the thought if you're the Seahawks. Well, that's one of the ways. Is Geno good enough for us to not take a quarterback in the first round? I still think you should draft one, especially because Drew Lock's not going to be under contract, so you don't really have a backup anymore. You can get one of these journeyman old dude backups like Sean Mannion. That's fine. I think those are valuable to have the more I've kind of learned about what backup quarterbacks do. But I think if Geno continues to play at this level, then you probably take like a Tennessee again would be the team to kind of follow. I don't know if Malik Willis played well today, but it's the idea like you got a guy, so you don't got to take a guy in the first round, but you take a guy like after that. So if the Broncos are like what, a 6-11 team, 7-10, Seahawks probably get pick 40 from them. Maybe you use that pick on the quarterback, not your own first rounder and not Denver's first rounder. Maybe you use Denver's second rounder. Because I thought they'd be in a position where like they got to use Denver's first rounder or their own. Now I think they could even wait to the second round if Geno keeps playing like this.
This next one is from Steve Clark @SM Keone. Is Pete on full revenge season at this point against anyone who doubted his philosophy?
Oh man, we are so lucky as a media contingent in Seattle. Part of this is local media wasn't that hard on him. National stuff was a little harder on him, and he's kind of admitted that. I think he admitted that last week, actually. He's like, you guys, talking to us in the auditorium. He's like, you guys haven't been too bad. He's like, it's usually the national stuff. Maybe this was 2 weeks ago. Either way, Pete Carroll could come into every press conference after Geno plays well and just start screaming at us like Kirk Cousins when he said, you like that. He really could every single week. And he does not. And I am thankful for that, because I wrote that I am believing him and John. I wrote that I am believing the whatever combination of Geno Smith or Drew Lock. Wrote all that and meant it at the time. We talked about it on the pod. I know he ain't listening to the pod or nothing, but like he could really be having all of us eat crow every press conference. Be like, told you, I told you, I told you. And he's done it subtly. And then each week he's building towards just being like, I try to tell you guys. One of these days, he's just going to come into the press conference wearing his national championship rings from USC and his Super Bowl ring, and wear the Super Bowl hat, holding the Lombardi trophy in the press conference. Like, I guess I do know football, huh? Like he had a quote today where he was like, oh yeah, people saying, I'm old and I don't know football anymore. And the games done passed me by. It's like, man, he said that's a bunch of crap. Like, look at it, we're doing fine. And nobody thought they would be doing fine. We did not. And that's Pete, man, Geno is playing at a level that no one saw. Granted, I don't think Pete saw it either. But either way, he believed in him more than anybody else. So, yeah, Pete, he's not doing it for to rub it in all of our faces. You know, he's doing it to prove himself and his guys right more than he is to prove any of us, media, fans, coaches, or whatever, wrong. He even talked about that today, too. He's like, your motivation can't come just from that, from people not believing in you. It has to be a little bit deeper with inside you, belief in yourself. And he's right. Like a deep philosophical level. But he likes this. Pete likes the idea of, oh, y'all thought we was going 5 wins, huh? Oh, you thought we couldn't beat the Broncos, huh? Oh, you thought we was going to fall off without Russ, huh? Oh, you didn't think Geno could throw, did you? Huh? Oh, funny. Oh, wow. Oh, you didn't think I knew defense, huh? Oh, wow. Look at that. Shutting everybody down. yeah, he's loving every part of this, and it won't stop. It won't. It won't. If they keep winning, it's just gonna get louder and louder from Pete being like. Even today, he just threw his shoulders up when somebody asked him about Geno. He threw his arms in the air like, "What do you want me to say?" He's real. I'm trying to tell you guys, he's real, and he's right. He's right. I don't know if we owe Pete an apology or nothing yet, but I do think he is definitely. He's not the only one. There's a lot of guys on that team, coaches, players, hell, probably dudes in the equipment staff are probably enjoying the hell out of seeing all the negative press and these guys that just keep winning.
This one is from Rostern 6. Who is the player on offense that has been better so far than you thought would be? Not Geno.
I can't pick Geno. Specifically on offense, huh?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I would probably say Austin Blythe would be my guess. I have my concerns about the choice there at center, and I think that part of the reason when I talked about earlier in the show them having answers for stuff, particularly up front, I do think Austin's a big part of that. Austin, Shane Waldron, the OC, Geno, they meet. They have so many meetings to get ready for all the stuff that they're going to face on Sundays, and Austin's pretty much in all of them, whether it's blitz meetings, run game meetings, third down stuff, red zone, like he's there in all that stuff. So I think Austin. He's had some moments that it's like, that's not good. But generally speaking, he has been probably the biggest surprise on offense that is not Geno. I just think that he's played consistent, more consistent than I thought. Because, I mean, in Seattle, we've been watching some center play look pretty bad. Like, we've seen games almost be lost because the center can't guard whoever the hell is on the other side. Like, Fletcher Cox has killed some dudes on the Seahawks in the past 4 or 5 seasons. Aaron Donald, whoever. So, I think that Austin would probably be my vote. He's been more integral in the success of the offense than I would have imagined when they signed him to be their starting center.
I would have to say, I'll give you 2 guys. I'll go Charles Cross because, for one, left tackle, that's a tough position to come in and be as good as he is. And he's gone up against some really good defensive ends this season, and he's held his own. And I wasn't sure if he could, to be honest. A rookie coming in, playing against Cam Jordan, holding him off, doing really well. Going against who else did he go against?
Mac last week.
Will Mac, didn't even.
Will last week.
Was very quiet. Like, that's a lot of pressure. And then my second one, I would say, is Marquise Goodwin. I didn't think he would be doing anything, let alone playing, and he is not for real. And he's out here. He caught a screen today, Mike, and it wasn't a penalty, and it was for positive yards. Someone tagged us in a tweet, and they were like, "Look at that, a screen, successful." And I said, "You seen that?" So Marquise Goodwin is definitely another guy. So I'll give you 2. Next question. Let's see. How surprising is this Seahawks team? This one's from Gabe SWH. I knew they had some guys, but I didn't realize just how many dudes this team has.
Yeah, I think it's very surprising. I think a couple things are surprising, and I've talked about them before. These aren't surprises, but I think that the way that Geno has played, being able to throw the ball down the field without the ball going in harm's way, and him being accurate, like doing that on a consistent basis, that's just very, 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 very surprising. And I think that surprised Pete Carroll a little bit. I think we should not forget here in the whole Pete Carroll's genius train. Pete basically had training wheels on Geno for like 2 weeks. It wasn't until 2 weeks into the season he was like, we should take the training wheels off this dude. He can let it rip. So for the coach to even think that, he didn't say training wheels. I'm putting words in his mouth there, but you guys get the point. For him to even have that sentiment after 2 weeks lets you know he's surprised too. He's probably seen some throws like, oh, holy shit, he made that throw, huh? Okay. So I think that's been surprising. The nailing 2 offensive line picks in the same draft and having them pan out like immediately, that's pretty surprising. With their track record, it has nothing really to do with Abe or Charles. They could both pass protect in college. They can pass protect now. In a vacuum, that is not that surprising. Because they went to the Seahawks, the team that has had a bad problem drafting offensive linemen who can perform at a consistent level. That part is very surprising. I actually thought the defense would be decent. I assumed they'd have Jamal, but I assumed that they would be decent, like competent, which I think they'll ultimately be when the numbers all average out for the totality of the season. But I think on offense, I did not think the pass protection would be this reliable, nor did I think whoever was under center, which I anticipated being Geno, would be this good at just being dangerous. Dang it, that's going to sound like a shot at Russ. It's not. Like, he's just good. And Geno's just good. And he's becoming one of those problems that the other team has to account for. And I did not see that coming. I really did not.
This one is from Larry Collins at L Collins RB. How much of the Seahawks' success so far is due to them playing a fourth-place schedule and are 2-0 versus those third and fourth-place teams? Can the Seahawks keep up their success?
I think over the course of the season that like becomes a factor that you play a fourth-place schedule. So I think who's the fourth-place teams that they're playing? I know Detroit was one. Is the Giants? Are the Giants the other one?
I think so. Last year, yeah, they were
fourth place in the NFC East. That makes sense. But it's so teams are so different, year to year. So I think that, like, for instance, the Giants were 6-1 coming into this game. They're second place in their division. So what you were last year doesn't necessarily mean that carries over. So yeah, I think it just depends. Sometimes teams are first place one year, and then their quarterback retires, or the left tackle retires, or their coach gets hired, their OC gets hired somewhere else. So many things just can change. So I do think over the course of the season, that's something to be interested to look back on. But so many things change. Look at how many teams are good that we thought would be bad, and how many teams are bad that we thought would be good through 8 weeks. Like, it's the league's pretty surprising in a lot of ways. So I think that's a little bit of a factor, but not much. I think it's more what we talked about earlier in the show. Teams have, hey, this is what we do well, and if you can't stop this, we're going to beat you. The Seahawks are like, all right, cool. We have an answer for that, unless it's the 49ers. They didn't have an answer for that at all. And Taysom Hill, no answer for Taysom Hill. But I think that's the schedule is only like a very, very, very tiny piece of the pie.
This one is from Stephen Collins at First Stephen Collins. Been a long-time listener. Appreciate all the work you do. My question is, what's the Seahawks ceiling for this season?
I think probably the second round of the playoffs if you don't lose anyone big time. Like when Ryan Neal got limped off, I told him, I was like, dog, I was nervous, man. I thought you was donezo. I thought you had pulled your hammy. He's like, nah, I just cramped up. Just needed some water. It's like you cramped in both.
Cramps in your hamstrings, man.
Yeah, that's tight. I guess that probably felt more like a Charlie horse.
Like I said, I don't know.
I've had a Charlie horse before. It's bad.
Yeah, we were hooping. I saw it happen. It was
hilarious. That too. But I had a Charlie horse during a track meet once when I was a kid. It was terrible. I ran super slow. I finished the race though. Shouldn't have, but I did anyway. As long as no one like big time has to miss a lot of time. Like losing Gerald Taylor, I think that'd be significant. That would stink. They would have to make a move there if they were lose him for a amount of time. But I think there's the rest of their schedule is pretty favorable. You probably still end up like 500 in the division. I think the division coaches are still really good. Shanahan's really good. McVay is really good when he plays Pete. So probably still ends up like 3-3 there. So what would that be? That would be like 8-5. Or no, going forward, that would be how many division games do they have left? 4.
They got the Rams
twice, and then
Cardinals.
Yeah, so I think
Niners. Oh yeah, 4.
So I think let's say you go 2-2 in those, that would get you to what 7-5 just off finishing out the division schedule. Yeah, there's nothing really. I think they would have some issues with a team like the Eagles. That's pass rush is ferocious, DBs are really good, and have some legit scary playmakers on offense and a dominant offensive line. The Eagles are a pretty scary NFC team. Dallas's passing defense, I could see them giving them some problems, the same way Arizona's did as well. So yeah, I think they could run into some legit issues in a second round a playoff series. And honestly, a wild card game would be tough too. So But yeah, they're a playoff team to me though, and I think that's just that statement alone is pretty crazy to say before we even get to Halloween.
This next one is from Big Ass Eyebrows at H Sack Sailor. We're gonna go with Big Ass Eyebrows. Are we going to see Geno get an MVP vote before Russ?
No, I don't think either guy will ever get one. It's hard to get a vote, really, if you think about it. It's usually just pretty obvious who the MVP is, or it's usually just between like two guys. This year, it's pretty much between like two guys, like Josh Allen, Mahomes, Jalen Hurts will put himself in that combo. That boy is nasty. 4 touchdowns today. That boy is serious. And his team is undefeated, so that'll get you votes for sure. Who else? Am I missing anybody? That's probably it. Tua missed too many games. Otherwise, he's slinging it pretty well too. I wish Tyreek Hill could get some votes, boy, because he is on pace for a season. Woof.
Up there with Cup.
Dog. He has had 3 different starting quarterbacks already, and like still leads the league in receiving yards. I think like he is nasty. So yeah, he's. I think all those guys, maybe not Tyreek, would all get like votes over Geno. Geno's like in Pro Bowl category. He's not like MVP vote category right now.
This one is from Eric Stanzik. Seahawks ran a shovel pass for a first down on 4th and 2, and then later went 20 personnel and lined up Tyler in the backfield and threw for a first. With the Chiefs on the bye week, was that Andy Reid and Pete Carroll suit, or is it just a Shane filling this out?
No, I think Shane's actually done a good job of stealing a few things from a few different places, which is good. That's what I would do if I was a coach. I'd be looking around the league and like, let me steal that and tweak it, steal that and tweak it. Give me a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like, that would be my thing. I'd be like Kanye with the samples. Just like, give me just a piece of the hot stuff, and just like mix it in and meld it with our players.
Couldn't use another artist, huh? How'd you go with Kanye?
Nah, cause see, musically Kanye is still safe. Just nothing else with him is safe at all. Musically though, yeah. Oh, and shoes. Kanye still makes shoes that are dope. Anyway, I think he's really been good at that. I think Shoddy was too. And I think probably that was some Russ influence of just like, we could do a version of that. Let's try it, and it's not always apparent. Sometimes it's like a concept, something really simple. But Shane does a few things that like the Niners do. Shane does a few things that like the Rams do. He's done some things the Chiefs do. Even some of the runs that they've done with Geno have been some stuff that like the Cardinals do, or that I've seen the Bills do with Josh Allen, like in the red zone, particularly like the touchdown he had against Detroit. That's a play you see with like teams run with their quarterbacks, like a Josh Allen on the goal line. So I think Shane's low-key been good at that, but it's just more noticeable with the stuff like that. By the way, I just love him going for 4th down twice on that drive.
I knew you would.
Love it. And it doesn't look like they hesitated. It would just, and they threw on all that stuff. Like they were really putting the ball in Geno's hands. Let me put this number out here. This is another reason why Geno's gonna get paid. The Seahawks, in terms of, so this is from the homie Ben Baldwin's site. It's rbsdm.com, which stands for runningbacksdon'tmatter.com, which is hilarious. But it tracks early down pass rate in like neutral situations. So that means when the game is still like close and neither team's just like throwing it a bunch or running it a bunch, whatever. So neutral situations on 1st and 2nd down. I think he also scrubs out like 2 minutes drills, which makes sense because most 2-minute situations are throwing. So in those neutral situations, the Seahawks are 5th they have the 5th highest rate of passes called. That's very, very high. The only teams that are higher are the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, and the Chargers. So the Seahawks are at 60.9%. So basically 61%. They're one of the pass heaviest teams in the league. They're letting Geno cook. And on those 4th downs, even the short yardage 3rd downs, they were putting the ball in Geno's hands, and that's just crazy to see because it's the smart thing to do. But it's just like, I would not have thought that was a smart thing to do 3 months ago. And it's just unbelievable. And it was working. It was working. One of them 3rd downs was I think Marquise Goodwin dropped the ball in the end zone. another third down with Tyler dropping a ball that would have been a touchdown. It's just, yeah, it's really impressive, man. It's really impressive what they're doing. Shane Waldron's in his bag right now. It's him and Geno just cooking. You gotta think of a different verb, man. I can't just keep using cook, but they're doing their thing right now.
This one is from Nick McDonald. Is it time to start talking about Shane Waldron as an up-and-coming offensive mind?
I want to see it a little bit longer. I think what I really think is not Shane is really good though, but I do think, and this is just from kind of talking to some of the players. I haven't written about this yet because they don't give me enough details for me to actually make a story of it. But it sounds like the collaboration between Andy Dickerson, the O-line coach, and Shane is what's really making this work. Like together, they have figured out ways to have those answers that I've talked about with whether how teams like to play their fronts or how to like to blitz or how to play in coverage. Like it just, and some of that is Sanjay Lal, the passing game coordinator too. It just sounds like everyone's in sync, and it doesn't sound like that 2020 season when it was very clear that like Brian Schottenheimer, Russell Wilson, and Pete Carroll were not in, they were not simpatico. It was not working. They weren't, no one was like doing something wrong. They just all weren't together. It feels like just, again, mostly just from like talking to a lot of the guys and even some of the coaches, it feels like they're all together, like everyone's in sync on, okay, here's the problems that the other team is going to present to us. Here's the ways that we can attack these problems based on how other teams have attacked those problems and how our personnel shakes out. And they just have that. And I think that's been like, I think how many times, Chris, we watch a game and then something was like, oh, wow, that dude's wide open. Or like, wow, that's a good run. Like just they're scheming stuff up at a really high level as too. I mean, some of it is just, some of these teams have just had just really bad coverage issues, but like some of it's just, and then Geno is just making good checks of the line too. It's just really great. But I think the coaches, it's not just Shane. Like if Shane was to like get hired or something like that, Andy's out of here. Meaning would probably go be his OC or something. Like it feels like a real collaborative effort in terms of what we're seeing offensively.
This one is from Mohammed Khalif at Prez. Mohammed Khalif, we're just gonna go with that. Is the offense? I can't do the ad name. I'm not gonna even try it. Is the offense a mix of Pete's philosophy and what Shane brings from McVay's Shanahan tree, or is Pete letting Shane take over? Yeah,
I think that pass heavy number lets you know the answer to that question. That it's a Shane. This is a Shane offense. Like I really can't stress enough, man. Like when it was 13-13 in the fourth quarter, and they had the ball with 11 minutes left, they called 5 straight passes, 5, and went 75 yards and scored. And in short yardage situations in the first half, down on the goal line, it was 3rd and short pass, 4th and short pass, 3rd and short pass, 4th and short pass. And then this, they ran a couple times in there, but then this touchdown ended up being from Geno to DK. Like they are putting a lot on Geno's plate. This is a Geno-led offense. They obviously run the ball. I think Ken had 18 touches today, but I think a lot of that was garbage time, just running the clock out. But still, like they are. This is a Geno offense, and I think that's a Shane. That's a Shane thing more than it is a Pete thing.
Here's part 2 of Big Ass Eyebrows question. Can we put Pete in the Hall of Fame and Ring of Honor today? I promise I never say anything bad about him ever.
Yo, to that, yeah, Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, all that. Pete's the greatest coach in Seahawks history. I think that was already solidified, though. Like, he's won a Super Bowl. Hard to top that. Built a dynasty. And I think that, maybe not dynasty, but you know what I mean. I think, I'll say this. I texted somebody in a group chat like before we started recording. I was like, man, if Pete messing around. Actually, I think I might have, now I think about it, I think I might have said it on a pod, maybe on Twitter or something in the offseason. Like if Pete gets it done with Geno and rebuilds the defense, best coach ever. Not for, he might be the best coach ever. Like if he has like a top 10 offense with Geno Smith under these circumstances, and then has like a top 10 defense with no Legion of Boom players on it, like none.
No Jamal Adams.
If he had Jamal, I think to build the Legion of Boom have 0 players from that and again have an elite defense. Now they're a long ways away from that because their numbers were just so bad to start the year. But if they end the year with a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense, like with no Russell Wilson and no Legion of Boom players, yeah, Pete's different. That's for real. Because think about that. That means he would have done it twice.
Insane.
He would have done it twice. He would have built the thing, torn it down unintentionally, and then built it right back up with new guys.
This is like Jurassic Park. You made another dinosaur? Like, God damn, I thought you was done.
I've never seen Jurassic Park.
Really? Oh my goodness, Mike. Really, I'm disappointed in you, man.
I just never saw the appeal of
bringing dinosaurs back to life. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I just never saw. I don't know how there's a sequel. Like, we didn't get rid of the dinosaurs. It's like how I feel about all the Planet of the Apes. Like, we didn't get rid of the apes in the first one.
All right,
like 4 Planet of the Apes movies.
Bad movie reference because Mike ain't seen it, ladies and gentlemen. So you know what you guys should do. Have Mike do a live tweet about Jurassic Park.
No. I'm not watching Jurassic. No. The Planet of the Apes, I think, is a similar comp because I watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I think that's the one with James Franco. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, that movie sucked. The ending, all the monkeys just go to they go to like a jungle or they go to the park in San Francisco and the movie ends. I was like, what? People just live their lives with a bunch of apes in the park.
I don't want to give you a spoiler, but at the end of the latest Jurassic Park, I think we're all just living with dinosaurs now. Yay!
Yeah, see, no, that's ridiculous. But yeah, no, Pete just keeps doing it, man. It's if he again top 10 defense, top 10 offense with no Legion of Boom and no Russ, come on, man. We gotta kneel at that dude's feet, man. That dude's different.
This one's from Tony K at Karate K 84. The Seahawks are one Austin Blythe injury away from being really bad at center. Would they ever switch Damian Lewis there and play Haynes and Jackson? It worked out when they moved Britt, and I was a little nervous when Blythe was out on Sunday. Appreciate your work.
No, I mean, I got to watch the film again, but just watching the game, I have a note of all the drives that Kyle Fuller was in on. I'd have to go back and read them all. But from what I saw, Kyle Fuller was fine. You know, I think today was like really impressive from a offensive line perspective because they just kept rotating. Like Austin got hurt, then he was out. But then Austin came back in, but then he went back out. And then like Phil Haynes was in, then Gabe Jackson. And Phil Haynes, then Gabe Jackson. And they were fine. It reminds me of like I think the 2018 and 2019 teams where it just didn't matter who was playing guard. Mike Solari just had them coached up, whether it was Damian Lewis or DJ Fluker or J.R. Sweezy or what was the one dude who he just didn't play at all and then was just like money. Jordan Simmons. It would just remember they were just rotating guards for a little bit there and they were just all solid, at least blocking, run blocking, that is. This reminds me of that. I actually don't think they're an Austin Blythe injury away from being screwed as much as I just hyped up Austin earlier. But I think the fact that he was able to come back in and could have gone in again in emergency is a good sign because Pete Carroll kind of does like his injury stuff in terms of how he talks about severity. First, he starts with guys who get like carted off and then they have like a broken bone or something like that. He's like, oh, we're screwed. And he's like, oh, this guy got carted off. And it's like, oh, no, the x-rays were negative. So that's good. So he's usually not as worried, but he's still worried about those guys. Just anyone who doesn't finish the game in general, he's usually pretty worried about. Anyone who gets dinged up and comes back in, he's usually not too worried about it all. Doesn't mean they don't have anything, but like they're pretty serious about who they let back in the game usually. You know, Ryan Neal notwithstanding here, because he had no business going in with two cramped up legs.
Terrible, man.
Usually though, they're pretty serious about that. So yeah, I think Austin's fine, but then B, I don't think they're screwed if Kyle has to start.
This one is from at Ralph's Reindeers. How good is this defense now 8 weeks into the season? Are we Legion of Boom good right now?
No, they're not. But, well, the numbers right now for the past 3 weeks, yes, those are Legion of Boom good. They lead the league in sacks. They only giving up like 15 points a game, which is about Legion of Boom range, which is crazy. So, yeah, the past 3 weeks, yes. Is that sustainable? Probably not. No. But I think the defense is probably, if it continues, again, the numbers were so bad through 5 weeks. You got to be really good to get those total numbers for the season up to like a respectable range.
It's
but
tough.
Yeah, that's really tough. So for example, I'll give you an example. The Seahawks in weeks 1 through 5. Let's just do this. Let's do this little theory right here. In weeks 1 through 5, they allowed, how many points per game were they allowed?
30.
They were allowing 30 points a game. That was the second highest number in the league, other than the Lions, who were somehow giving up 34, which is just disgusting. All right. So in weeks 6 through 8, the Seahawks are only giving up 15 points a game, right? That's a huge difference. 15 points from 30, in a 3-week span versus that first 5-week span. Still, for the season, they're giving up 24.8, which is 26th in the league. So, like, this stellar run here is still it still has them in the bottom third, at least just using scoring defense as an example, for the season. So you got to get those numbers really far up. But I think by the end of the year, we're going to probably be we're going to be doing a thing where we say, since week 6, the Seahawks defense, blah, blah, blah. Kind of how we did from like in 2020. We were like, from week 10 on, blah, 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 blah. We're just going to start using week 6 as the start of the defense actually being its real self instead of the full year. But yeah, the full year numbers will not look that great. I think this is probably going to end up like a top 15-ish defense, like above average, which I think is good enough when you got Geno slinging it the way he is.
This one is from @Jeffy Rocket. What did the defense do schematically to have such success slowing down the Giants?
Yeah, I think they got off the ball really well. I think that was part of it. That goes against just what they've been doing with like letting their guys be more aggressive, like more one gapping, letting them shoot gaps instead of just kind of like holding up blocks and then reading and reacting. That's really helped Puna. I think that's really helped Quentin Jefferson. It's unlocked Shelby Harris. Shelby can do anything, but the defensive players are better when they're going forward, when they can attack. And now that's a big deal because if you miss, ain't a lot of help behind you when you do that. You're out of position. But I mean, it's working, which is why tackles Jordan Brooks had today. Let me see. I feel like Jordan Brooks, he was not one of their leading tacklers. We already discussed that.
I think he had 3 or 4.
Yeah, Jordan had 5 tackles, which is like fine, but he at one point was at like 10 a game or something like that. He was like second in the league in tackles. Yeah,
D-line. It was terrible.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it was. They were getting knocked off the ball. So I think that's the schematic change. It's letting the guys be able to go. Like Quentin Jefferson's been telling me every week, it's like they just cut us loose, man. Like we're going. I think that's part of it. And I think there's fewer missed tackles today. Like, how many missed tackles did they have? Like,
not many.
Actually, I won't even say missed.
Kobe missed one on the tight end. That was one that stood out to me.
It's those. I'm not even necessarily talking about in the hole. I'm more talking about like those, like open field missed tackles.
Got you.
They're having a lot fewer of those. And I think, as Quentin Jefferson mentioned to me after the game, we're not having a lot of third down penalties anymore. Because before, they were having a lot. It was a hold, illegal contact, PI, something. It was always something.
Offsides on the defense.
Yeah, offsides. Like today, there was one. I think it was
Bruce Irvin. Yeah, I got a little.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, but. And then they scored on that drive. I think that Bruce jumped offside. But like you look at the other drives, they have trouble scoring. Why? Because we're not beating ourselves on top of playing against the opponent. So as much as the schematic stuff, I think some of it is just getting down to the basics. They're tackling, which is huge. Getting off the ball, which is a little bit of schematic too. And then just not having mistakes with penalties. And it makes sense if you look at it. Look at some of the bad things that they had happen on defense before. A lot of them was those 3 things. It was penalties, it was missed tackles in space, and it was not getting off the ball. It's not even that they had to change the whole scheme. They just started doing those 3 things just a lot better. And if you do those consistently, you'll be a good defense.
This one is from Michael @Michael McNewhouse. When will Nwosu Uchenna get an extension? He's balling out.
Oh, that'd be a little bit. I mean, he's on a 2-year deal. He's not on a 1 year. I don't know how many people know that, but he is balling. I don't know if it's extension time, but yeah, he's playing really well. He is a really good player, man. He's tough. Like I knew he would. I had a feeling, man, because he rushes from the offense's right quite a bit, and I'm pretty sure their right tackle was out today. I think it's their first round pick, Evan Neal. Uchenna is. It's hard. Like you can probably just if you have a stud right tackle, you'll be fine. I think if you consistently line that guy up with him, like he'll lose some, he'll win some. You have a backup. He's like the type of guy that if you got a backup, he's gonna kick your backup's ass. That's the type of like you can count on Uchenna for that for sure. You got a backup, kiss it goodbye, it's over. Like I don't know that's probably not worth like an extension right now, but yeah, he's playing well. He has been their best defensive player this season. Like he's legit, and he's looking like probably one of the better free agent signings that Pete Carroll and John Snyder have ever had. I think the top two is still going to be Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill till the end of time, but after that, Uchenna's like just right in the running.
This one is from Frank at Gang Gone Friend. How much of an impact did Bruce Irvin's return have on the defense? Locker room, leadership-wise, communication. I know that he was always respected during his time with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think the thing that Bruce has brought is, and I was actually thinking about this, is so funny. Pete mentioned it after the game, and Bruce does. He's like the connection to the past, but he's not like so. He isn't all he knows. Like Bobby had only played here, so like that's all the point of reference. Bruce had been all over, and I think he could have a better point of reference to how great the past was, because like Bruce has played well for the Panthers, the Raiders, the Falcons, but yet he was on those championship Seahawks teams too, and just like he is part of that. Because I do think that's one of the reasons I didn't want Bobby gone. One of many of them. Is I do think the connection to how good they were before matters on defense. Like just Sherm being around and Cam being around and Doug being able to text these guys. I do think that helps with like having somebody there every day. I do think that's important because you listen to these guys talk and they're trying to uphold a standard. They sound very much like a bunch of guys who are been recruited to Alabama and they're like, yeah, there's a standard here at Bama. We win championships. Like, that's how they talk about the Seahawks. There's a standard here for the Seahawks. This is a winning organization on defense. There's a way we play. And there's a bunch of big-ass pictures on the wall when you walk into a facility that show you this is how you play. And Bruce makes them more than just pictures on the wall. It's real. Like, Bruce is in those pictures, and he's on the team now. And he's producing. He's not just some, like, old rah-rah guy. So I think that's important to have because they are playing for that, for like to honor the defense of the past, having someone in there who can really speak to how that shit got cracking, I think that has value. I would have kept Bobby for that same value, but like Bruce is bringing it as well. I think that is important.
This one is from Ryan Turner at Turns44. Mike, you've been with this team for several years now. Each of those teams had expectations, usually saddled, see what I did there, to Russ's performances. Chemistry is such a vital ingredient to the team's success. How much fun are these guys having right now?
Yeah, I think as much as they're having a lot of fun, and I wrote about that in my story too. Like I joked that Ryan Neal went out there with 2 bad legs because they were just having too much fun. I think that beyond the fun, really, there's just so much trust, and you can see it. Like you can really see it on film with someone just pointing here, and then they do the thing, or this happens and they adjust on the fly, and it's just so many little things that you could tell they're just trusting each other. A lot better. I think that's huge. And then just like I wrote about this in my story too from Sunday. I think just so many different guys. When one dude is balling, obviously everyone's happy about it, right? But like,
yeah,
when they had 6 sacks the other day, a few weeks ago, it was 6 different dudes. They had 3 sacks, I think last week. I think it was 3 different guys. They had 5 sacks today, and I think it was by 4 different guys. So like. And then today they had a bunch of guys who contributed on third down. Ryan Neal, Tariq, Michael Jackson, like 3 passes defense on third down, I think. Like, because there's so many guys in special teams as well, like, because there's so many different guys, that helps as well. Everyone feels like they're doing their job, you know, and once everyone feels that way, then that just builds more trust, and it's just kind of cyclical in that way. So, yeah, no, I think the defense in particular is having a great time, man. Like, I really think that they're all just making so many plays. Everyone's making a play, and I think that's feeding into the offense, because the offense, like, oh, shoot, they just got that third down stop, that sack, that pick. All right, let's go get 7. Like, I think that the defense is really fueling the offense. I don't know if I'd have to ask more guys if they feel that way, but that's kind of how I see it.
This one is from Mark Petrie at Mark G. Petrie. I'm guessing the locker room vibe after the game was amazing. Can you share a moment or two from the locker room today that captured the team's post-game energy?
Yeah, there's a couple. So Ryan Neal had a bunch of TV cameras at his locker, and I forget who. I think it was Michael Jackson. He walked by like, he got his cramping ass. He cramping in the middle of the game. Just like making fun of him for cramping, which is because it looked like he got shot the way his legs fell off, and he was, he ended up just cramping. I walked up to Quandre's locker today. He was like, he's like, you see how I hit that tight end? That's how I hit you.
Oh my goodness. What's up, little guy?
I said, you wouldn't be able to catch me. I said, I run a 4.8. He said, what that mean? He said, you're not quick. I was like, I am quick. I was like, I am better straight line speed than I am shifty. Chris is shifty. I'm like straight line. But anyway, that like it's stuff like that. Like
everybody's joking, having fun.
Yeah, everybody, that's good vibe. Even Quentin Jefferson, when I'm walking up, he's like, I told you. And before I even say anything, he's like, I told you. He was like, we here. And it wasn't like a mean I told you. Because when they were playing bad, all we did was say they were playing bad, which isn't unfair. They're playing like shit.
It's obvious. It's on the field. It's on tape. We see it.
Yeah, giving up 30 points a night. That's just, you're bad. Like that, we weren't being unfair. But yeah, I think just little nuggets like that. I tell them like, hey man, I ran 4.8. I can run. But yeah, nah, if Quandre hit me like that, I'd fold. I would die. He hit the shit out of that tight end.
Blew his ass up. This one is from Roger Vanu. Why is this year more fun to watch than the past 4 years?
I think that Seattle, and I've talked about this before, so I won't go on a long spiel about it, but I do think that Seattle as a city, as a sports city, as the fans, have an underdog mentality. I think it just fits who the city is more than like a New York or a LA or even Boston. Cities with multiple championships across multiple franchises that expect to win in any given year. Seattle just is kind of more of that lovable underdog vibe as a fan base. I'm not really sure why, but I believe that to be fact. So I think like a season in which nobody thinks Seattle is going to be good and they end up being proven those people wrong is more satisfying than a season in which Seattle's picked to win a division and then wins a division. I just think that identifies with the city, and I don't think that's just football. I think that's with baseball. I think that's with the Kraken don't have doubters, I guess, but whatever. I think just in general, whatever all the sports here, that is just something that the fans kind of vibe off of a little bit more than just being projected to win or being the favorites. Like I think that's a city thing. So that's why I think a lot of fans are probably enjoying the hell out of this for that reason. I think also because the Broncos aren't playing well. So I think everyone's enjoying rubbing this in Russell's face because Russell left the city, thinking they were, going off for greener pastures or however the phrase goes. And he's not finding it. I know they won earlier this morning. But yeah, I think that's part of it. I think it's just the identity of the fan base really identifies more with that lovable underdog more than that the school bully running around knocking people's heads off. Like this is more of a Rudy underdog town, I think.
This one is from Mr. Ayer. What 2 matches did you think were the most important in determining the outcome of today's game? Seahawks offense versus Giants defense, Seattle's defense versus Giants offense.
Yeah, I think the blitz pickups were really important. I actually thought Travis Homer was actually going to be very essential in that regard. I know he blew one, got Geno smoked. At least I think that was on him. I got to go back and watch it. But at real time, I was like, oh, God. Travis just got Geno rocked. But I thought in the second half, they handled all that way better. I think all 3 sacks that Geno had were all in the first half, and they were all on blitzes. I think they handled that way better in the second half. So that was the matchup I thought was very important. On the other side of the ball, it was not one player in particular. I just thought that Saquon, anytime he was in the open field or just one-on-one with someone, was going to be had potential to be a problem. And they did a good job of not even having that many situations. They had like 2 times, I think, where if someone didn't get him onto the ground, he was going to score. But that was 2 times maybe out of like 23 touches or something like that. So I thought that's not like one matchup, but I thought that was one particular element. It's like if Saquon gets to the point where if one dude misses, the team is fucked. They avoided those really well. And then a couple times they were in those instances, I think Jordan made the tackle. I think Quandre made a tackle. Maybe it was Kobe. Either way, it was Quandre and another guy. There was like 2 instances, and I thought that was very important because Saquon, just like Ken Walker, is a home run hitter. One dude missed at the wrong time, house call. Yeah, house call from anywhere on the field. So I thought though in terms of matchups, quote unquote, I thought those 2 things Seattle did really well in this particular game.
This one is from Zach Gabali at Z Gabali. I feel like the Seahawks could plausibly beat any team in the NFC right now. Am I crazy?
No, Zach, you're not crazy. They could beat any team. Again, the Eagles are for real. I want to make that very clear. Their D-line is nasty. They just got Robert Quinn. Their O-line is nasty. Their run game is really dynamic. They can throw the ball when they need to. Their D-line, their secondary is not the secondary that DK used to cook in the past. No. James Bradbury and Darius Slay are for real. So, could the Seahawks beat the Eagles? Like if they were to play next week in Philly, Philly probably like 4.5 point favorites, something like that. Maybe more. But they would give them a fight for sure. But that's the main team that scares me. Dallas doesn't quite yet, but Philly for real. Philly would be the Minnesota probably too, but Philly seems like the scary one because they're just playing well at every level, just like the Seahawks are.
Last one comes from Michael Scott at Michael_B Scott. Which Seahawks are on track for a Pro Bowl and or All-Pro selection right now?
Oh, okay. Michael, this is a good question. I think that I actually looked up some stuff for this one. I think Geno's a lock for Pro Bowl if he continues to play like this. Tariq Woolen would be as well. Especially, I think Tariq still leads the league in interceptions, so that's hopeful. He had another PBU today, which brings his total to like 7 or something. So in terms of just making plays on the ball, let me see. He's got to have quite a bit, like 3-7 a good year. I can't find the number off the top of my head, but he's got at least like 3 passes defense and 4 picks. So he's doing well. Uchenna, I wanted to look up before we recorded. Uchenna has more of a thought more of a chance than I thought, because I didn't realize how many edge rushers or how many just D-line edge rush guys can make the Pro Bowl. So he would probably have to make it as an outside backer, and he's got a shot there. I think who did I look up and find, Chris? It was like he would have to get by like it'd be him, Micah Parsons. Who else that plays in the NFC? Zadarius Smith in Minnesota, Rashawn Gary in Green Bay. But that's I think
Chandler Jones, but he's the AFC now. So.
Yeah, Chandler wouldn't count. Like I think he would get different votes than like Cam Jordan in New Orleans. He would be like Hassan Reddick, would be in that. He's playing Brian Burns, probably. I think Bosa would kind of be like in the D line, maybe with. There's some other guys who are kind of like that. I can't think of on top of my head. Like Armstrong from the Cowboys. I think Uchenna as an outside backer actually has a legitimate shot. So those are probably the only 3. I think. I don't think as crazy good as Tyler and DK are. I don't think they're going to even come close. The receiver position, I feel like, is just guys are putting up ridiculous numbers. How many receivers make the Pro Bowl?
What is it? 4 on each side, so 8.
Yeah, something like that. Justin Jefferson numbers are crazy. Cooper Kupp, AJ Brown went ridiculous. And the Bucks aren't very good, but Mike Evans is still that dude. So I think DK would have to have like a couple monster games to really.
And then you gotta remember, DeAndre Hopkins is back, so he's probably gonna have a monster next 9 weeks. Hell, he had 100 yards today. He had 156.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, he's. I mean, DK's having a good year too.
No, not to discredit him, but he's gonna have to either just have a couple 100-yard games, couple touchdowns.
Yeah, and you got I mean, Olave's having a good year. You know, I don't think he'll make it as a rookie, but like, yeah, CeeDee Lamb, now that Dak is back, you know, it's tough. The NFC is tough. You know, all of a sudden DJ Moore is Megatron down there in Carolina. So yeah, that I think that the three that I named, Uchenna, Tariq, and Geno, have the best shot. I guess outside shot for Kenneth Walker, too, if he keeps scoring every week. But I think those are the main three. All pro, I think the only person who legitimately has a shot there is Tariq, which is crazy. 5th round rookie. But if Tariq leads the league in interceptions, I think he'll make the all pro team. He'll be first team all pro or second team, if there is a second team this year. Yeah, I think Tariq, which is crazy, bro. Of all the people, I guess Abe Lucas could have a shot on the O line too, but not at all pro, but Pro Bowl. But yeah, Tariq is the only person I think on an all pro track. Because remember, all pros, you got to be the best in the league, not just in one conference or the other. So, yeah.
Well, Tariq's definitely going to get his share of opportunities because he got D-Hop next Sunday. The following Sunday, he got Mike Evans. Then you got Devontae Adams. Then you got Cooper Kupp. Then you get DJ Moore, but they don't have a quarterback, so you never know how that might work.
I don't know, man. PJ Walker is slinging that thing to DJ Moore, boy.
You early on the show said they need a quarterback, so he can sling it all he wants.
No, they do for the future, but like it's really crazy how like sometimes these backups they get in and force feed it to the best player in a way that the regular guy was not. Like you seen Terry McLaurin's numbers with Taylor Heineke?
Yeah, thank you.
It's like the only person that thinks Terry McLaurin's the best player on the team is Taylor Heineke. It's crazy. Those are to him every week now. So
shouldn't have paid Wentz. There you go.
Yeah, that was terrible. Anyway, but yeah, I think Tariq's got the all-pro chances for real. You lead the league in interceptions, you'll get it. You will be there at the end of the year. I am almost certain of that.
Well, there it is. That's all Twitter questions. Quite a few tonight, but after a huge win on Sunday, well deserved. So we appreciate all the love, all the questions. Thank you guys for rocking with us on this latest episode of Seahawks Man to Man. We'll be back with Sam Gold for our midweek episode, talking about the Cardinals and film review, a bunch of stuff. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it always is. Especially on Seahawks for that one. Because Sam did such a good job breaking it down. I want to really talk to Sam about Geno, what he is seeing from Geno and Ryan Neal and this defense. So yeah, that'll be fun. Got anything else?
And then also Friday, we'll come back with another breakdown. And guess what? It'll be another positive review because the Seahawks won. So far, I guess the Saints game doesn't count because we just went with a good play, even though they lost. But it is what it is. We'll come back with that again this Friday as well. So, again, thanks for all the love and support. We appreciate it. We see it. And we will catch you guys later this week.